Hello. Dang it. I can't even go back. There you go. Woo. Let's see if we can get some people in the chat because I got some stuff to tell tonight. Let's see how we're going to do this. Sorry if I'm going out on you. Mhm. Hey, y'all. Oh, wow. People coming on in. That's great. How y'all doing? Supreme afternoon. That's right, Jerry. I want to thank everyone who sent me cash apps. Let me go down the list because I know I sent you all little hearts and likes and all that good stuff. So I'm just going to read some of the names that were really kind. Um, Starting with Tanya Chase and Latoya Hawkins. Thank you. And Vintage Violet Partners in Kenya. Denise Jeremiah. Deborah Allen. Saxon Palace. Lisa Matthews. Charlotte Leitner. May Evans. Darren James. Lonnie Ruley. Um, Sheila Wilson, Derek Bishop, Helen Drake, Sharon Johnson. Thank you all so much. Sharon Patterson, um, Antoinette Dillard, Diane Cook, Felicia Johnson, Kendra Wilkins, Bernard Roberto, Sierra Banks, Johnny Carter, Regina English, Michael Morris, Q Bell Williams, Maxine Jeffrey, um, Connie Huff. Let me see who else we got on here. Mary Lanier. I just want to say thanks, just to name a few. And if I miss somebody, thank you too. Um, I'm about to get deep on this Joker because a lot has happened since I last talked to you all. And I want to pull this up. I'm trying to see how I can do this with doing a dual screen so I don't lose you all. Wait a minute. All right, so y'all heard about. Well, first, let me do this. For those who have been sending me cash apps, again, thank you. And some people say that, well, I don't have Cash App, I only have Zelle or PayPal or something like that. And, I have personal accounts and I really don't want to give up too much personal information because as soon as I do, people are trying to dig deeper and deeper. And the stuff that I talk about, y'all, you know, um, these people don't want this kind of information out. Y'all know that, this is stuff that can get you killed. And I'm not trying to die for none of these fools. So I'm not trying to give up too much of my personal information. So I wish y'all would respect that. I gave out my email, and in my, when I get some of the emails, some people get a little too personal, and I'll respond, but it's all just out of respect. But at some point, it gets to cross that line, and I'm trying not to cross lines. I want to, be honorable and respectful to the people who show me love and support, and that's as far as I want it to go. Um, but a lot has happened since we all, last talk when I had the little 13-minute breaking news, And people have been sharing clips or excerpts of some of the stuff I've been saying on TikTok. Some of the stuff has been taken out of context, but it's still relevant, nevertheless, because everything is still tied to what I was talking about with this August 20th date, which is the end of the 407, was the end of the 407 years of our enslavement. Really, it's 400 years, but 7 is completion. So you have 400 to 1619, you have 2019, as in COVID-19. And that was, I was telling you, it was the period of death. Y'all remember during COVID-19, they used to have all the little signs to, y'all had to be 6 feet apart when you were at the grocery store, or if you were at another store, retail store, you had to be 6 feet apart. And the reason why is because if you go to a cemetery, your graves are 6 feet apart and 6 feet down. So it was a period of death that you all were in, that we were transitioning out of to where it was life and everything in 3. So COVID lasted for 3 years. And, we start transitioning to life at that point. And you start seeing most of these corporations change their logos from all uppercase to all lowercase, because uppercase is like RIP on the tombstone. That's death. Now you start seeing that everything start transitioning to lowercase, because that's life, right? And fortunately, that's where we're continually headed, and we're never going to go backwards. That period is over with forever, and that's what they mean by everlasting life. That's what it is. Grand Rising, Kelvin Moore, and thank you, Diary of Black Dove. I see you on here, and yeah, everybody hit that like button for me. Thank you. So since we last talked, yeah, there's a few things that happened. One happened in the news today that I'm sure a lot of people didn't even catch. And that's when Trump had the meeting with the lifeguard and the lifeguard's family, at the Oval Office. And this lifeguard, his name was Ryan Williams. Ryder Williams, Ryder, Ryder Williams. Well, he's 16 years old, and he represented, and y'all don't be tripping too hard on this, but he just represented the white supremacist ideology. And you remember in the last show, I was talking about how one king must fall for another to rise. Well, as we know, king means 41. And Ryder Williams is RW, which is R is 18, W is 23. So 18 and 23 is 41. But he was dressed in all black, meaning that death to the king, right? And his father's name was, what's his name? I have it on here. Wait a minute. Okay, his father's name is Shane Williams, and his mother's name is Shannon Williams. Now watch this. Y'all remember I said white supremacy is the number 14. So everything in 3 is 14 times 3 is 42, right? So if you take Shane Williams, that's SW. S is 19, W is 23. 19 and 23 is 42. So his mama represented white supremacy, and his daddy represented white supremacy. And the king is dead. That's why he was wearing all black. So they're letting you know this was the end of it, right? And we're going into a new beginning. So y'all heard of the girl that died named Hayden, which is the H, y'all. That H is the reversal. And I'm going to read this. Y'all, just forgive me if y'all don't see my face on the screen while I read. Just listen to me. So her name was Hayden Panettiere, the star of the TV show Heroes. That's another H, y'all. And the TV show Nashville and Remember the Titans, right? Now, I always told y'all that everything is going to restore back to Egypt, which is Tennessee. That's where Memphis is, right? So she was the star of the show Nashville. And where are the Titans? Titans play in Nashville, right? So that's Remember the Titans, that she was in that movie. And Heroes is the H. That's the reversal. So this girl's birthday is coming up on April the 21st. Now, when did I say that we're actually free from it? Okay, so we said 407 years is August 20th. You know, that's the last day that you were slave. But you're free on August 21st. And Hayden represented that reversal, that you're no longer the slave, you're free. So she had a book called This Is Me. And, you know, you take the letters, you know, from each word, this is me. You have the first letter. This is T, is I, M is E. So T is 20, I is 9. So 20 plus 9 is 29. Then you got M is 13. 13 and 29 is what? 42. White supremacy. So they were letting you know that this is the reversal of that white supremacist ideology. Okay? And it said at the bottom of the book, it says, this is me, a reckoning. Now, let me give y'all the definition of that. If you can't see me, it's all good. I'm still here. Now, that definition means what? It's a noun that means the act of calculating or estimating an amount, a personal opinion or judgment. You remember I said in Genesis 15:14, he said that the nations that once judged you will now be judged, and you'll come out of it with great wealth and abundance, right? So it means judgment, right? And it also means, check this out, the settling of a financial bill or debt. You remember in the last show, I started talking about you're no longer going to be in debt. You're going to be flying in credit, right? So here's the other part. Hold on. And it means the arrival of retribution and consequences for past actions. Well, what you think they did to us for 400 years? They afflicted you for 400 years, which is past actions. You know, you can go all the way from the slavery by separating the families. All right, now listen. I'm going to give you a quick little history lesson. It first started in the year 1555, but it took 64 years. You remember I said 64 means the beast. So it took 64 years for them to do what they did to our people. What happened over 64 years? Well, they had what they did for 64 years. And remember now, 1555, 555. I was talking about area code 305 just the other day. 555, everything in threes. So that's the 5 civilized tribes, just so you know. So they had to make you forget your name. That's that Kunta Kinte Toby stuff, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, remember now, Wakanda is in America. Wakanda ain't in Africa. Wakanda's here. And you have about 5 different cities called Wakanda. They're spelled a little differently, but Wakanda forever. That's what they're talking about. They're talking about right here. Why you think the first Black Panther movie came out in the year 2018? 8 years from now is 2026, right? That's now. And 8 is the infinity sign, Wakanda forever. That's where we at. That's why they did it 8 years ago, letting you know. We're here forever now. Now, let's go back to those 64 years. They made you forget your name. They made you not know your family or where they are. So they separated the families. They took away your language. They took away your culture. They raped you in front of your woman. And they raped the woman in front of the men. And you know, that was called bucking. You know, they took the biggest one and the biggest so-called slave, and they bucked them. And you know what that really means. So they did that in front of the other ones, so the other ones wouldn't get no ideas to leave the plantation or anything else, right? So now they did that over 64 years. Once they did that, that's the beast. The 64 years is the beast. Then once they did that, then they were able to enslave you for the next 400 years. Then over the next 400 years, they did even more with, denying our people bank loans. They denied you of education. They denied you of housing. They denied you of just being able to have basic dignity, denied you of your rights when you're the one that actually had the birthright any damn way. But they did all this stuff to you for the next 400 years. Now, that stuff is over with. And that's why I was reading the definition of a reckoning that's in Hayden's book. And the reckoning means you now you got to pay for what you did over the past years. It's time to pay back. And you got to settle your debt with God's chosen people. Now it's time to settle the debt, because everything that you stole has to be returned. So that happened. And let me finish reading some of that, because there's some good stuff that happened with that whole Hayden thing, just so you know. You remember they said that she died in Greenville, South Carolina. Well, what's the area code for Greenville, South Carolina? 864. 8, infinity. 64 is the beast. Right? I can't make that up. Then, let me give you something else on that. All right, so they said she was 36 years old. 36. What's that? 3 sixes? 3 and 6? 3 sixes? 666? The mark of the beast, right? So this stuff is just, ending. And then they said that she took an overdose and had cardiac arrest, and said she died at exactly 151. Well, when I tell you that God's covenant and God's promises to restore you to Area 51, 151, she was the reversal, because 555 meant that they were in control of the 5 civilized tribes, everything in threes, 555, the year 1555, when they first put you into a mental state of mind where you wouldn't know who the hell you are. Then, now it's reverse. It's reverse. I was talking about the H and the C, but then you reverse that. That's the C and the H. Well, the C and H, you remember the TV show 5150 on YouTube with Corey Holcomb? CH 51, Area 51. That's all that is. Corey's in on this whole ritual thing. I'm not going to, because he'll be cussing me out with Darlene just saying, I don't want to hear that. So that's part of the ritual, y'all. And then I'm going to break down this other thing that happened over at Virginia State. They said too, there was a shooting at Virginia State over the weekend. And they said 5 people were shot. I don't know if they died, but 5 people were shot. But the young man's name, he was 19 years old. Let me tell y'all his name. Hold on. They said his name is Cameron Harris. Ain't that C and H? Right? Now, didn't I also tell you, 41 means king? Where it happened at Virginia State. So what you got? B is 22, S is 19, 19 and 22 is 41 all day, right? So that too was a ritual, y'all, just so you know. Everything is being reversed. Then on August the 14th, remember, Dolly Parton, who's best known for a few things. One is her amusement park called Dollywood. Well, Dollywood is in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. And you remember in the last show, I was talking about the mountaintop. Well, the mountaintop is in Gatlinburg, right? Pigeon Forge is right down the street from Gatlinburg. When I say down the street, literally down the street, right? Now, Dolly Parton. Well, she was known for that song called 9 to 5. Working 9 to 5 and all that stuff, right? Well, 9 plus 5 is 14. Okay? So it was a whole white supremacist song. Then she's let's do the name Dolly Parton. D is Dolly, D is 4. Then P as in Parton is 16, as in 4:16. Genesis 4:16. I talked about that last week. Genesis 4:16 says, Cain came from the presence of the Lord to return to the land of Nod, east of Eden. Land of Nod is Europe. So Dolly Parton started talking about, you know, they were opening on that day, August 14. They did a dedication to a new ride, okay, and the new ride had everything to do. I'll break that down in a second, but that new ride had everything to do with a birth canal, giving life. Okay, and I'll tell you what that is in a second. But she was not able to attend. She said that her wings have been clipped, meaning that she had some butterfly. Anybody can look this stuff up. Y'all pull up this Dolly Parton interview just the other day. She had on some butterfly wings, and she was speaking from Vanderbilt Hospital, which is located in Nashville. I've been telling y'all, Nashville is the capital of the world's commerce. That's why you got that dude prancing around named Lil Nas X. Lil Nas means Nashville. When Eddie Murphy had the movie called Pluto Nash, he was talking about the world's commerce, as in Pluto is going to be based out of Nashville, Pluto Nash. They put it in your face. And Lil Nas X is Egypt. That boy got paid to be like whatever he out there prancing around doing. He ain't really, he got paid to do that. He got paid well to do that. But see, why am I talking about that? Nashville is Egypt. And if you look at the state capital sits on a pyramid. And the two streets that run in front of the Capitol is King and Charlotte. King merges into Charlotte. Well, King is 41 and Queen Charlotte, King and the Queen. Queen Charlotte was a Moor, right? And it all connects. You connect to Highway 41 to get to King. They putting the ritual in our face. So the new world is going to be about love, and it's going to be about frequencies. It's going to be about music, right? That's why they call Nashville Music City. It's about frequencies, y'all. And we all have to tap into our higher frequencies. We're no longer going to be in that lower self, which is that third dimension. We're going up to the fifth dimension, and it's going to be about frequencies. That's why they're now talking about the med beds, because the med beds operate off of frequencies to heal and restore the body. Okay, so I'm going to go back into this whole Dollywood thing. And if you can't see my image, it's only because I'm reading. Hold on. So Dolly Parton announced on the 14th of August that her health, another H, was being monitored by her doctors, and that she was in Nashville seeking medical care. She was only able to do a virtual presentation of the opening of Dollywood's new ride called Night Flight. Now watch this, y'all. In her presentation, she was wearing butterfly wings, but she said that her wings had been clipped off, meaning that she can't fly anymore. So now, let me break down Night Flight. Night Flight is the name of the ride. NF. N is 14, F is 6. That's 146. Okay. Now I told you Tennessee and Kentucky is Lower Egypt, right? Now that's one. Let's look at 146, because opposite of West Egypt, which is America, is East Egypt, which is Africa. The tallest pyramid in Africa, which is in Giza, Giza, is 146 meters tall, 146. But now everything in reverse, everything in reverse. So if you reverse it, that's 641. Well, if anyone looks up highway route 641, you're going to see that they're telling you it connects to Kentucky and Tennessee. Then you know that now Egypt of the West has now risen. Okay. Now, the ride is like a water raft. You know how they have those wild river raft rides. Well, the ride represents going down the birth canal. Because you remember in the last video, I said Kamala Harris is going to birth the new deity. She's going to birth the new deity. How do you birth the baby? Through the birth canal, right? So they were showing you the canal. This is some deep stuff. If y'all look at the image of this particular video, so like when you tap out of my live, you'll see the actual image of the actual ride that shows the canal. Because who is she going to birth? She's birthing a new deity. A deity is going to be a king. That king, I've been telling y'all mad at me every time I say it, but it's going to be Obama. See, the thing is, Obama could never do anything for so-called black people because, he had a nationality. He never identified as black. And remember now, the 400 years wasn't over when he was president. He was still part of the corporation too. So all prophecy in the Bible must be fulfilled. So if that 400 years ain't over with yet, then the prophecy is not going to go into where it needs to go. So now that the prophecy is being fulfilled, then you have a return of a deity, and the return of a deity means that, see, Obama, he said that he was Kenyan American. He never said I was a U.S. citizen. He never said he was black, because black means dead. They can't recognize you. When I say they, government cannot recognize you. Think about this. If you dead in the eyes of the law, and all these police were getting the right way with killing our people, they killed Lil Maine. They shot him in the back. And the police officer at work the next day. We all outraged because he got away with murder. But guess what? You can't kill something that's already dead. If it's already dead in the eyes of the law, you can't kill something twice. Think about it. They can't do nothing till you pull out that damn driver's license. The moment you pull out that driver's license, it gives them the go-ahead to whoop your ass and to shoot you dead. That's real. Because on that driver's license, it has that dead name in all capital letters. Everything that's on the left-hand side means death. Just like in everything they do. When you get your mail, they want you to put, you always see your name when you get a bill, that all caps name is on the left-hand side. See what I'm saying? That means you're dead. They address you in a letter, all caps on the left-hand side. You're dead. You never see anything that's on the right other than the day. And day ain't just D-A-Y, it's D-E-Y, y'all. As in the owls, the bays, the days, the L's, and the Ali's. And we are always on the right-hand side. We're never on the left. You go to Isaiah 41:10, 41 and 10. 41 means king, 10 means God's promise and God's word. It lets you know that we on the right-hand side of God. Because we're righteousness. It tells you that in the Bible. But I was talking about Dolly Parton, meaning, D is 4, P is 16, that's in 4:16, Genesis 4:16. Cain went from the presence of the Lord to return to the land of Nod, east of Eden. Now, when I was talking the other day, I had tried to break down land of Nod and where it's located, and I said A. Spalding Moore, and I left out the most important part because the reversal of 416 is 614, and it's located at A614 Spalding Moore, England. That's where it is, land of Nod. It's a reversal. Everything is a reversal. So going back to the name of that ride at Dollywood, check this out. Okay, so let me read this. Nashville is the capital of the world's commerce, but check this out. There are 3 H's when you go up to the ride, and it reads on the building, Hidden Hollow Aviation and Hangar Access. Hidden Hollow Aviation. So when they opened the ride, y'all, they had people walking around wearing orange Halloween hats in the month of August. Why? Because they were letting you know that the H means a reversal. And when is Halloween? On 10/31. 10 plus 31 is 41, right? So they were letting you know that we're not the kings no more. We got to reverse the spell. They are now the kings. It's time for the people who are the dark people to take flight, as in night flight. That happened. So a lot of this stuff, y'all, someone said they want me to break down the whole Nolan Wells thing. The only thing about Nolan Wells that I'm really going to say is it's really more like a reincarnation of Emmett Till. Remember, Emmett Till was 14 when he died, but he was born in the year 41, right? He's buried in the same cemetery in Chicago as Noble Drew Ali. And if you look at Emmett Till's mother and Nolan Wells' mother, they look identical, as if Nolan Wells' mother was Emmett Till's mother reincarnated. And believe it or not, that happens. Reincarnation is real. So that's as far as I'm really going to go with that because, they said they both of them died in Mississippi, right? One died in Money, Mississippi. That was Emmett. And money only represents the fact that, we're going to a new currency. So that too was a ritual. And see if everything is in threes. Watch this with Emmett Till. He was born in 41. 41 years later would be 1982. Well, guess what movie came out in 82? Called E.T. And what did E.T. look like? He looked like a beat up Emmett Till, as an E.T., Emmett Till. I know y'all gonna trip on this. Okay, right now, let me say my Cash App is $ all rights reserved, because I just dropped one on y'all right there. $ all rights reserved, because that was pretty good. And yeah, Janine, thank you. It's good seeing you on here. He said E.T. phone home. Home, HOME, equal 41. H is 8, O is 15, that's 23, M is 13, that's 23 and 13 is 36, and E is 5, 36 and 5 is 41. Phone home. And he had to ride that bicycle across that moon. What's the little Elliot? L. Hey, L. That's God just gave that one to me as I'm talking. So the whole Emmett Till thing was a big ritual. And so that's the second one, y'all. And then 41 years later would be 2023. And that's when they put the movie out about Emmett Till. So they knew what they were doing. Hollywood knew what they were doing. And they did this horrific crime to a young man and set him up for murder. But they did it for a greater purpose. And that's unfortunate, but that's how it goes. But see, even in the Bible, you have sacrificial lambs. And there are several sacrifices made in the Bible. And to have something greater, there must be a sacrifice. So the same thing with that girl Hayden on the TV show Nashville. That too was a sacrifice. Lil Nas X made a sacrifice. All kind of people have made their sacrifice for the greater good. And that's, some people would call that Illuminati, because to be able to, during a period of death, to be able to illuminate means to shine, to glow, to rise above, right? To be able to illuminate, during a period of death, that means you got to give up something so you can illuminate, as in Illuminati. So most people have to give up something that's sacrifice their family or sacrifice their reputation. Like, they said Bill Cosby had to, with the whole rape allegations, and, Michael Jackson with the pedophile allegations. He was really a hero because of the fact he was saving those children from Epstein situation, and he was taking them to a safe haven. So he was really a hero, which is now coming out. And everyone had to take, Magic Johnson with the whole HIV thing, because shit, what medicine is he taking? Because whatever he taking, everybody need to be taking that medicine. But that's a reversal, H, as an HIV. I kind of want to believe that his sacrifice too was not only the HIV thing, but had to sacrifice his son. Because you never see that boy with a man, even though he walks around like the proudest woman ever. But you never see him with a man. So it makes you wonder what that whole thing is really about. EJ is, and I met Magic in real life before, and Cookie, and they're nice people. And, I'm not trying to say nothing about their family. I think they have a wonderful family. But, I do believe that, there are sacrifices that are being made. The whole thing with Michael Jordan and his father, that thing looks suspect. And, when they said his father was murdered, that looks suspect. But everyone on certain levels must do some form of a sacrifice to be able to illuminate for the greater good. So we had a few more things, and I wanted to touch on them with you. If I leave the screen just for a second, hold on. Oh, so yeah, people wanted me to talk about this whole thing with the USS Abraham, because remember I said the descendants of Abraham are the heirs to the world. So they had these sailors jumping off that USS Abraham. And why was that? Because Trump said he's retiring the USS Abraham from the sea, because the descendants of Abraham do not belong to the sea. They belong to the land. And it's time to restore their land. So that's why he's retiring the Abraham. All this is the timing of what is really happening with the restoration of our people, the restoration of America. It's no longer United States, it's now USA. And USA, y'all, which I said the other night, U is 21, S is 19, A is 1. That's 41. So it's the restoration of the kings and the queens, right? So that's what this is. So now you had Kamala Harris, who just got finished visiting Nashville for a whole summit in Nashville for, that was about 2 weeks ago. And she was in Nashville for a purpose, because this is the year of the Jubilee. Well, the Jubilee singers are based out of Nashville, Tennessee, right? That's called Fisk University. And that's it's wonderful, because this is the year, and if you want to go a little deeper, it's the 7th sabbatical year. Well, sabbatical year means 49. And, I think about brother with the San Francisco 49ers that took that knee. That was Colin Kaepernick, who wore the number 7, which is the 7th sabbatical year. And he played for the 49ers, as in each sabbatical year is 49 years, right? And he took the knee to the U.S. corporate flag. See what I'm saying? He took a knee to that flag, because that's not the real American flag. The real American flag is a red flag with a green 5-pointed star in the middle of it, right? Well, if everything in threes, well, the Tennessee flag is a red flag with 3 stars in the middle of it. And it looks like a planet, because it's blue. But they're letting you know, and break down Tennessee. 10, God's promise and God's word, and everything in threes, as in C, as in Tennessee. They did this on purpose. And I can tell you it was reversal, because guess what? They had a governor, and he was the only governor that ruled over 2 states. And his name was Sam Houston. Sam Houston that's who they named Houston, Texas after. So Sam Houston was the governor of the state of Texas and the state of Tennessee, right? And the only reason why I'm bringing this up is because Sam Houston, think about it, Sam is the reversal. And H, as in Houston, means the reversal. And if you break down the word Texas, Texas, it equals 69, and 69 is a reversal. And anybody who likes to get freaky know what that means. You reversing, right? But also one of the symbols for Pisces is the reversal with 2 fish going in opposite directions. So we're at the end of that, and we're reversing the energy. So Sam in reverse is mas. Mas in Spanish is more in English, right? So let's break down Texas. Texas. T is 20, E is 5. That's 25. X is 24, right? So 25 and 24 is 49. A is 1. So what we got? 50. And S is 19. 50 plus 19 is 69. There's a reversal. And they did it right there on the border of Mexico, because if you break down Mexico, it equals 69 too. So that's why there's always a reversal of energy right there. But they're letting you know that we're reversing things. Everything is being reversed. Even with the story of Superman, and if I'm talking all over the place, forgive me, y'all, because I'm just ripping right now. Even with the story of Superman, real name is Kal-El. But he had an alter ego, or a reversal of himself, named Bizarro. He was the evil Superman. Everything had to have a reversal. And if you really want to know, Kryptonite or Krypton was never some other planet. Krypton is located in Kentucky. Krypton, Kentucky. But you remember I said Kentucky and Tennessee are Lower Egypt. Where's Upper Egypt? Illinois. Well, Metropolis is based out of Illinois. And there's a big old giant statue of Superman right there in Metropolis, Illinois. And that's where Obama he posed right in front of that. Y'all can pull this up on the internet. He posed right in front of that Superman statue with a big old O. Then you know it's going to be a return of a deity. El, Kal-El, Jor-El, whatever. El, Elohim, Ra. Everything about to be reversed. Again, show me love. My Cash App is allrightsreserved. And my email is dejurelaw33@gmail.com. That's DEJURE number 33. Oh, wait a minute. DERJURELAW, then the number 33@gmail.com. Janine, if you don't mind, hit that for me. I appreciate you. And you know, like I said at the beginning, if you don't have Cash App, ask somebody, you know, that may have it, because I'm not giving out any other kind of information. I'm trying to stay as private as I can because I want to educate you all on what's really happening, but still kind of protect my own privacy and my own whatever at the same time. And, you know, respect that if you don't mind. Because and all this information I'm giving you all, most of the information is in my books, but I break it down even more, a lot more, and connect the dots with everything they've done with the film industry, the music industry, the politics, the sports. Everything was all connected, believe it or not. And they did that after the Great Depression. For the next 100 years, they had a plan to put these things in place because, see, the thing about the government always had to give you a heads up about what they're about to do before they did it. So they didn't necessarily just tell you, because you remember now, if the United States is a corporation, corporations can't talk because it's dead, right? So they can only give you signs and symbols. Well, the signs and symbols that they were giving you were through their movies, their cartoons, their comic books, their books, the music. All this stuff were signs and symbols that they could give you. And those were the heads up about what's about to happen. And what's really about to happen, and I go back to that young lady that they said died, Hayden Pantieri, whatever her name is. That was a huge ritual. That opening of that Dollywood night flight ride. I encourage anybody to look at that up on YouTube just so y'all can get a visual of what they did on that ritual. Because they're letting you know that they're birthing a new deity. It's coming down the birth canal. And it's coming down, so it's right there in labor. The Kamala Harris, it's symbolic. It doesn't mean that the woman is pregnant. We know she ain't pregnant. But Kamala, by definition, means lotus flower. Anybody can pull that up. It means lotus flower. And the lotus flower is the one that gives birth of the new beginning. The new beginning is an American government. It's not a United States government. That's why they're talking about getting rid of HUD and Section 8 and SNAP and all that, right? Because when this thing changes, it's going to change like in a snap. All that stuff that you got with those dead presidents on the face of the currency, that's going to be gone forever. Those dead presidents are going to be forever dead. And you're going to have a new currency. Think about the movie Coming to America. You know, when Eddie Murphy was playing Akeem. And Akeem, they were like, he got his own money. Yeah. And y'all going to have y'all own money. Or at least going to have the control. because you're not going to be in debt. We're leaving the debt-based system to a credit-based system. So all that stuff that, see, when the thing changes, they can no longer control your energy or your resources. Your resources is your, let's say your electric bill, that's your energy. Your water bill, your water is supposed to be free. Your gas bill, that too, or your resources, that's supposed to be free to you because that's your birthright. All that's supposed, even the frequencies in the sky, you're going to control because that belongs to you too. So that means the internet and your phone bill. All that's about to change. It's already changing in some aspects, and anything that represents death got to go, like the mortgages. That's why they've forgiven all these mortgages now. Then they also talk about getting rid of property taxes and the IRS because Americans cannot be taxed on their own land. That's what the deal is. You can't be taxed on your own land. So they got to get rid of this stuff. And people who are going to be complaining, there's going to be a lot of people complaining, talking about, well, damn it, I want my social security, I want my disability, I want my pension, I want my retirement, I want my 401k, I want everything I'm supposed to get. Man, you ain't going to be missing none of that. Because what great wealth and abundance means, you're going to be flying in credit and you're never going to be going backwards. You're going to just, anything that you wish for, dream for, you'll be able to have, right? And in the new world, you know, the only reasons why they call these things Indian reservations is because the so-called Indians were reserving the land for our people when we wake the hell up, right? So in the new world, when the reservations come, right, you know, everybody gonna be trying to get on an airplane to go to Dubai. Everybody gonna be trying to go to Abu Dhabi. Everybody's gonna be trying to go to Egypt. Everybody want to travel. I get that, but see, in the new world, you're gonna have to make reservations to go. But you'll be able to go. You just got to make reservations to go. And once you start, look, Governor DeSantis just said the other day, and I want to say it was on the 14th. It may have been on the 15th, because if you do 8, 15, 26, 8 is forever, which is August. Then you got 15 plus 26 is 41. And he was like, we're now going to introduce or launch the first air taxis, like the cartoon, The Jetsons. That means we're going to be flying. We're flying. You're no longer on the ground because you can fly. You're now flying in credit. Everything being reversed. So you're not the dwellers of the land, even though the land still belongs to you. But it's just like Wakanda forever. You know, they were in the technology of space technology, aircraft and all that. That's where we're going. Some people may not like it because we're not used to it. But imagine if you are a baby being born today. And all you know, and it kind of makes you jealous a little bit, because if all you know is a world where you are free and where you're a creditor and technology doesn't faze you because you were born into it, that's their new normal. Or that's their normal, and we gotta figure out what our normal is going to be, because we've been so downtrodden, beaten down, we've been indoctrinated, we've been all this. And it's unfortunate, but it's time to rise above it. And for the ones who are ready to rise above will. It's not for everybody, but you know, it says 144,000 will be chosen. Now, I don't really know what that really means, but I do know if you reverse it, it's 441. as in the 400 years and 41 means king. Sure enough does. And that's who's going to be chosen. That's the reversal. You know, in Revelations 2:1, it says, God said there's going to be a new heaven and a new earth and no more sea. Meaning no more admiralty maritime law, no more laws of the sea. We got to go back to the laws of the land. And what is law? Land, air, and water. We're going to control it all. And that's what's up. So anyway, I wanted to give you all that. I wanted to give you all that whole thing where Trump was having that meeting today with Ryder Williams. Like I said, he was y'all pull all this stuff up, and I want you all to look at it so you can see it was the death of white supremacy, because the people he was talking to, his parents, they were wearing black. His dad, Shane, he had on all black. Ryder Williams had on all black. And then his mama was wearing black and white. Then you know that, we're going from the darkness to the light. And I'm not saying darkness to the white. We're going darkness to the light. So we're out of darkness. That's why the whole thing with the Dollywood ride called Night Flight, because it's time to come out of the darkness and we got to take flight. Time to come out of the darkness into the light. Dollywood they have a resort that's been open now for the last 2 years called Dream More. Dream equal 41, and who are the Moors? It's called Dream More. They putting it in your face. So that's it for now, y'all. I could probably go on and on, but I like to save a little bit, and get my thoughts a little together so I can have more to talk on and get deep about. But everything is right around the corner, y'all. Literally right around the corner. In the next 4 days, three to 4 days, because today is the 17th. Everything in 3 days later will be August 20th. That's the last day of your enslavement. And then you got August 21st when you're free from it, right? So this is going to be the time of restoration. It's going to be the time that, we're no longer going to be in this construct. This is it. Ooh, Wendy Walker, your name keeps coming up. She says, so when will all this debt end, Sheik? It's ending now, Miss Wendy. It's ending now. You got to listen closely what they're saying. If they're talking about getting rid of the IRS, then they're talking about returning money back to you. If they're talking about tariffs, people don't understand that tariffs, all that means is the rest of the countries or the rest of the nations have to now pay the American people a tribute. Because before, we were paying a tribute to the Queen. That's why she was rolling in money. But now everything is reversed, and the tribute got to be paid back to the American people. So the American people will start getting a dividend check for the rest of your life. And I gave you the definition of who the American people are. In the Noah's Dictionary, it was on April the 14th, 1828. Y'all remember I said 46 means transition of power. Well, what's 18 plus 28 as in 1828? It's 46. So, and then 414, April the 14th. That's 41 forward and 41 in reverse. So it says, by definition, the American people are the copper-colored people. Just like I told you on the nickel, dime, and quarter, everything facing the left, which is dead, But on that copper-colored penny, which is facing the right, that equals 41. And it has Abraham on it. The descendants of Abraham are the heirs to the world. That's what it is. And it's the credit. You were never taught to save a nickel, dime, and quarter when you were little. You were always taught to save the penny because the penny was the credit. You know, they talk about, and this is not some racial slur. I'm just telling you what has historically been said. They had the whole thing about penny pinching Jews. Well, they knew that the penny was the credit, and they were taking your credit. See what I mean? You were the credit. Then they took the penny out of circulation. Why? Because the penny, the copper-colored people, that's what the penny represents. The descendants of Abraham do not belong to the United States government. The descendants of Abraham belong to America. That's why they took it out of circulation, and that's why they took it away from the United States government. They're doing it right in your face. So get ready. Get ready. And someone just said something about 821 is very significant. Who is that? Hey, Teresa. So what is 821:26? Well, 21 and 26 is 47, right? And 40 means and 8 means forever. So 40 means the trial period. I was telling y'all that in the last show. 40 means 40 days and 40 nights of Noah on the ark. 40 days and 40 nights of Jesus in the wilderness. 40 years of Moses, misleading his people. And then you have 40 years between the death of Martin Luther King and the rise of Barack Obama, right? And then 7 means completion. So on 8/21/26, you got 47. But hey, who's that? Something Terry, I think. W.R. Terry. And they put 46 on here. And they're correct because on the end of your enslavement, which is on 8/20/26, 8 is forever, and 20 plus 26 is 46, as in the transition of power forever. That's what's going on, y'all. Cash App, $, all rights reserved. Hit them up, Janine. Let's get this. And this this podcast is probably as significant as any other podcast I've ever done. Because if you play it back, I played back some of my other podcasts and I be tripping on the stuff I say. But I know it's genuine and I know it's the truth and I know that you can cross-reference it. It's not just some stuff being made up. And it's stuff that you can look up for yourself and see that, brother man telling you what's really going on. So we about to get it. Okay. So anyway, peace and love to you all. Thank you for spending the evening with me. I'm about to check out, and I'm probably going to come back on in the next couple of days. And if anything breaks between now and then, expect me back a little sooner. Let me make one more little comment, though. There have been some podcasters, some of y'all know them, and they've really been ripping damn near everything I've been saying. I mean ripping it. And it's unfortunate because, I just want to say y'all heard it here first. And anyone else that's doing that, come on, y'all. At least give me the credit for bringing it to the people. And don't act like it's your information or your data. This is my hard-earned work. This is stuff that spiritually came to me. Don't break me from the gift. You know, that's what I'm saying. You know, it's just unfortunate that people do that to you. And some people you actually know, and it's unfortunate. So I just want to say thank you and much love. And let's get this, y'all. And you know, please subscribe to my page. That's Jacob Bay 1465. Share these videos. Please share them, because you know what? A lot of people have been getting, you know, it's crazy. I get a lot of feedback from people that are like in their late 60s and 70s, and these people are like, you know, you've changed my life. Like, you know, I've seen this thing through a different lens now, and I've never really been able to connect it, but now I'm connecting everything. And thank you. And that brings me so much joy. You know, one of the things that I miss the most is being able to have these kind of conversations with my mother. And you know, she's, you know, transitioned spiritually. But I miss these kind of conversations because she always said, you know, it's good when you can have a conversation with somebody who thinks outside the box, but they're not just running their mouth. They're giving you something that you can chew on and think about too, and be like, I get it. So I've had pastors hit me up, and a lot of pastors have been like, hey man, you know, can you come speak at our church and all this stuff? And I don't know the Bible like that, but you know, I do have a grasp that the Bible talks about, like I told you, half of it's talking about good, the other half is talking about not so good. And I know it's about energy. And I know it's about a lot of metaphors, and I figured out what that stuff is, right? So thanks, Janine. I love you too. Oh, that's sweet. Uh, Janine, you might be my woman one day. I'm tripping. It's gonna be between you or Wendy. So let's get this, y'all. And much love and respect to the Soul Tribe. Much love and respect to everybody who's been supportive. And thanks again. But share these videos, man, because a lot of stuff we're talking about has come to pass. I wasn't just talking about the descendants of Abraham yesterday. I was talking about that almost last year. But now they talk about Abraham all the time. They talking about the Abraham Accords. They talking about the USS Abraham. They talking about all this stuff. And they're going to replace it with the George Washington, because he was, you know, the first president of the corporation. So the descendants of Abraham don't belong to the corporation. We belong to America. And everything going to be restored back to the American people. And I told you what that definition was. So let's get ready. It's going to be nice. And we just a few days away from some real beautiful things. And when y'all see these things happen, remember they had the big old flood in Indiana. Didn't I tell you that Morocco was Indiana? Then and doesn't that represent the H, as in the Hoosier City? HC? It was a reversal, y'all. Everything is a reversal. We about to get it. Now, now Netflix is talking about coming out with what TV show? Or TV series, a remake. Different world. It's a different world. It's a different world. And here's another HC, y'all. Get ready. And where was the college? Hillman College, HC. Right? And the word hill, HILL equal 41. H is 8, I is 9, that's 17. Then you got L is 12, L is 12. 24 plus what? What did I say? 17? That's 41. Hillman. And then they brought back who? Debbie Allen. DA. D is 4, A is 1, 41. They put it in your face. And Hillman. That's how they're doing this. So they telling you it's going to be a different world than where you came from. And I believe that it first aired 41 years ago. I believe it was 85. It may have been 87. I'm not sure, y'all. But it wasn't too long ago. I mean, it was something like that. But it's a transition in power, nevertheless. So they're bringing that out, just so y'all know what's going on. That's where we are. Okay. So if y'all never donated before, please find it in your heart. $2, $3, $4. But just something to show me a little love for what I give to y'all spiritually, mentally, and it really feeds the soul. It feeds the soul. This stuff feeds my soul. And I've listened to a lot of people in different podcasts, and I'm so blown away with just knowing that the Most High has given me a gift, a perception, and to be able to break this stuff down and to be able to share it with you all. I'm so thankful for that part, because this is history in the making. And these videos, and thank you, YouTube, for not taking none of this stuff down, because I'm able to have a platform now to share the truth with y'all. And now y'all can put your finger on the truth and share it with other people. No man knows the time or hour, but we may know the season. And the season is changing right now, because we ain't going to be in this for much longer. And I'm saying, when you free from this, you really free from this. And when we really free, we're going to have an announcement, because it's going to be a party, and we're going to have to throw a party somewhere. I'll host it. I don't care. We're going to figure out what we're going to do. We're going to have our own Jubilee. And it's going to be bigger than any celebration ever, because we're about to do this. And I love you. Thank you. And y'all have a good evening. Thank you. Bye-bye.